Hey guys, Sean here.
This video is part 2 of my chamber versus chamber, Cloud9 versus Paper Rex coverage. But before we get into the second half of the map, I wanted to jump into customs real quick.
Alright guys, so I wanted to hop in game and just show you guys some of the ranges on a lot of stuff because it's not really shown very well in the mini-map. So, here is the waterfall TP. You can see when it's in this corner what that grants me, right? Like it allows me to go a little bit deeper in B main. Not that great. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's not fantastic, but it does allow me an area to fight from, right? An area to, take a battle, potentially get out. You can see this is probably what Ye had in mind. You can even play this wall a little bit. There's a lot of like little tiny movements that you just have to be on top of as chamber. You can even potentially take this fight. So the one for C, way more lenient. You can see right now, like I have access to pretty much by the mound, right? Very deep over here. It wouldn't let me hit the switch. So when they were hitting the switch, they were obviously out of that range, but that's why when they did hit it, a lot of the times they would kind of come back into range on this side. They could play the box. There's a lot of area over by the mound for you to play.
Now let's get into the second half.
Our difference in this half is going to be so evident when you watch these defensive chambers, mainly because of the fact that, Ye is working with Leaf, who is a Cypher. I mean, he has 2 trips and a camera that can hold a lot of ground. And on a 3-site map, guys, that's very, very important to have the util of a Cypher or a Killjoy. That's part of the reason why everyone has them in their tier list. So the way that Paper Rex got around this is they put the trip on B. They have a Sage ready to wall. And the chamber is now going to go to C to take the same fight that Ye was taking. Let's take a look at how Forsaken approaches this C fight. It's a little different. And this is that wall I was talking about, right? So similar to a Cypher where your goal isn't really to get all the kills. It's to get the info and allow your teammates to rotate into this site during the hit, maybe even. And that's what this wall that Benkai has out is. The trip is in the middle of the open, so it's going to detect or get broken really quick, right? Like this trip isn't going to last very long. And Benkai is ready to wall if that trip gets broken. He's ready to wall reactively to the scenario. And meanwhile, over here at A, we have the same Skybird coming in. The difference being is that you have the Cypher caging this cross to deny info. And Ye is actually using the same TP that we saw Forsaken use. So he's putting this TP down. He's using the Cypher cage, though, to get some space. He wants something a little bit less challenging, I would say, than Forsaken's duels that he was taking. He wants to be able to settle out here in long. He wants to kind of absorb the hit for a second and then pick and choose a fight instead of just kind of swinging into the chaos.
Snail's pace start,
But that is Forsaken using the CTP a little bit better than we saw Ye use it on the pistol. Kind of wild to say someone doing something better than Ye on chamber.
He'll kick this half off style. You could say the same for
So
Zelda.
Ye is actually rolling with that. Like he is way past the location of his TP. You can see, he doesn't think he's going to get a fight anytime soon based on how things have played out so far. So he's scaling. Opening the door. Ye is making a huge presence right now on this side of the map. So, and he's doing a great job. Got both smokes out of Mind Freak, 2 people staring at this, and he actually isn't even in the door right now. Still has his trip. Like, this is something that I'm going to probably point out a lot this half, and a key difference between these teams. Because you have a Cypher, because you have access to a trip, and a camera as well, you can take this trip into the sites with you, which seems incredibly powerful. To take a chamber trip into a site hit and use it in the mid round. It seems brilliant. It takes a little bit of time to get used to this.
That space likely hasn't been taken. Tended to go this whole time. It has surged.
So there is that trip. So he trips this flank as him and Cypher are splitting and the cage pops. The door is opened and all of a sudden, this hit just looks so spicy with that chamber trip, right? because if it pops, if the chamber trip actually pops, no one is coming through it, and no one's going to come this way. And if it's broken, someone gives up a lot of info that they're coming that way. And usually if they give up that info, it makes these players in a little bit of a sketchy scenario, because now this person who was like on a weird flank timing, their flank is kind of known. This trip is just really solid on an A hit like this.
Left empty. Exception of Device standing around, and he almost gets two. Great damage onto Ye. Pistol round.
So Ye takes that kill, and just like we saw in the previous scenario, we have Ye playing, this pit position now, except instead of going for the fight and immediately leaving, there's no one here, right? There's no smoke. So he occupies the area and puts his TP in the center of the site. Just a really solid location. These are all things you could probably take into your ranked games. It just takes time to get used to collecting your TPs. Very unlucky, and his TP is his trip is broken as well. And that is it for the pistol. Behind the wall, the Sage is coming up clutch again. Ye is going to take this fight, but hey, it's similar to what we saw Forsaken do. He has the TP on the wall at barrier. He has, two Cypher trips to work around. This one right here you see on the wall, it goes to the tree, as well as the one by C. In addition to that, we probably are going to have another cage for him to pick out. Maybe. He is holding the cross. It could go either way.
On the streets, does he?
Yeah.
Yes. Is this like you calling Dirk a Derek?
So there's that cage. We just saw it thrown. The one way is going up above, and Forsaken here is going to take the fight into him.
Not the first time.
Kind of a sketchy one way, not as good as the one that Vanity was throwing, if I'm being honest, because you can crouch under it. It's kind of baiting these Cloud9 players into lingering.
That's true. Be honest,
Forsaken has put his TP up. You can't see it. It's actually, right where Omen's standing, same place really that Ye was using. And he can take this fight in the field. It's a really solid fight. We saw Ye do it once or twice. Unfortunately, not much came his way other than like the eco where he backed off top box when he played A. Forsaken kind of just playing this zone. He's actually going to play by the door here, break the door.
To really relegate the lead that Cloud9 have instead. They've ended up in a rough position.
Both teams decide, we're going to take some fights by B. The Cypher cam is out long, and still Forsaken is in this zone, right? He's stayed in the zone of this TP. Really weird off angle. He's holding the side over here, and he's going to get a fight.
Bit of damage, one kill, but how much more can they get with a fantastic flash like that? Maybe a lot.
So he gets his fight. It's just so hard to clear some of these out. And this is the same thing we saw a lot of in the chamber meta, right? But we weren't sure if you would be able to see stuff like this outside of that previous meta. We weren't sure if you would be able to see like a mid-round chamber holding this angle, and there just not being enough utility to clear this out in the mid-round. Especially when you have like a TP. Like this makes chamber feel like old school chamber. You're in an off angle in the mid round, and there's just not enough util to clear out an angle like this. And Forsaken is now in the site, jump spotting.
This would be just that little bit more ridiculous. This is a lesson learned for me, Tom. Any round can be won at this point, regardless of the weaponry brought in. Mind freak! He's behind! The timing completely out of sync there.
And the timing is just god tier right there. Forsaken just hot on the heels right now of Vanity. Vanity TP's top site, and Forsaken's gonna end up taking him out. Really clean shot. Oh, this is such a cool round. Okay, we're in round 16, and Ye is going to sit on his trip. He's gonna end up holding the B push for a bit. But what I want to draw attention to is the C push at the start of the round, the trip on B, because if you are going to be the chamber here, in this particular comp, guys, keep in mind, it's a very similar style that we saw at the last half, the 3-1 type of face. It takes a lot to fight for this. This is a very important choke in the map, where if you can fight for this choke right here, you no longer have to hold 2 avenues into the side, or technically 3. You only have to hold 1. So the amount of util that is going to be used to hold this at the start of the round or take it is going to be a lot, which is why Chamber has found value, is because I'm sure teams are finding that exact thing out, right? Like, wow, teams are really willing to do this, like 3 here, you know, 1 here kind of thing. The Chamber can trip B, the Omen can then smoke B, Paranoia, this is a really good line for a Paranoia, and then the Chamber can TP into Waterfall and be right here with the Omen. And then, you know, it's a 3-pronged retake. That's very solid. And then also, you know, if they hit C, you're giving your Chamber a great fight C, and then you can play retake again. You know, Omen can rotate spawn, Chamber will end up holding this Waterfall area, and then you have these 3 that can either go on a flank, they can rotate through spawn, they can go Waterfall. There's so many options available to you in this Chamber setup right here.
Something done. Actually, Ye's playing with the rifle despite having the headhunter. I mean,
so Ye is another cool TP we're seeing here. So he puts his TP front B, and that's going to allow him to kind of pick into B, probably break this Chamber trip. Meanwhile, the Cypher can cage, you know, get out of long, fight aggressively. Meanwhile, this Omen, Mind Freak, can one-way this corner, which then allows this Chamber to take a more aggressive line. There's so much going on at the start of this round.
I suppose that's going to take an effect.
Spicy wall over here from Benkai. So the wall allows Benkai to play on top, get this line. So no longer is this cage super valuable, because this guy right here is just holding this line that Leaf probably doesn't even think is possible.
That too.
Meanwhile, what we have going on over here is Vanity understands what is happening this round, because he also is playing with a Chamber. He understands that, okay, the Chamber isn't over here. There's a very, very high likelihood that this Chamber is holding this one way at C. So what does Vanity do? He clouds out a smoke. So if you are this Chamber, if you are Forsaken, you have to worry about someone coming this way. You have to worry about someone coming this way through the smoke, or potentially just, you know, waiting it out and going on this side. There's a lot of options available to Vanity to potentially win a one-on-one against the Chamber. So he's putting a lot of pressure on Forsaken at this point in the round to make a play. Meanwhile, Ye has broken Forsaken's trip, which apparently pisses him off so much so that he opens the door and he's ready to fight this shit out.
We saw from Ye earlier.
So yeah, he probably hears the dog. He sees the trip break. The Paranoia comes through from Mind Freak, and that's what cues this door to open right here for Forsaken. His TP is available to him, a lot like what we saw Ye do, and he's ready to go for a pick on B.
Same spot that we saw from Ye earlier.
Ye is so aware though.
It can hide behind the box.
But Forsaken still doesn't TP. He's so good with this kit. So he gets close. And again, he doesn't know if Vanity could have crossed. You can see, like, he's not really sure how to approach this, because he knows probably 2 people are in the zone, the Chamber and the Sky. He knows the Omen is probably somewhere like in this zone, but could have retreated. He's not very sure. And his teammates have walled off A, and they might start hearing something soon, but that information is just starting to come into him. So he's just waiting.
Somewhere, and they're clearing that out first. Being
another lurk smoke right there by Vanity, and that causes a ping. You know, you can see what this smoke is doing to them, because they no longer have the trip. This ping over here is coming from one of these 2, and it's saying, hey, they could come this way. Just letting you know, Forsaken bro, you know, they've thrown a lurk smoke and they could pop on you at any second.
Very respectful. That flash, no doubt, is going to rustle them a little bit, but...
Great timing on the smoke right there from Mind Freak. They take it into spawn, guys. This is where shit just gets so crazy, because Ye, who has sat on this trip the entire round, now has a trip in Defender spawn. That is just absurd.
That he's on one of those 2 corners, and that's why Zelsis is just holding them.
Holy Jesus Christ. They get this kill. They know that someone has pushed the zone. They know that the Omen was in the zone from the Paranoia, and they just killed the Raze. They know probably these 2 are somewhere nested on A, probably also because the Sage Wall and, you know, the rest of the util. They have a pretty good inkling of this, that there's probably like 2 more people on A. but they aren't really sure where exactly Forsaken and Mindfreak went. They just know they're not at A. What does Ye do? He's clearing out by Heaven right now, clearing it out. And then look at this. He's holding B, and then he puts his trip over here at B. I mean, that is just the cringiest thing I've ever seen, to put your trip somewhere like that. I mean, like, that's just ridiculous. He trips B Heaven, and he's just holding spawn while his teammates have wrapped around A. Vanity has held the flank, and will be able to go back this way. And this is just so ridiculous, this hit.
Able to catch them off. This might be the most classic.
So as Ye is starting to leave, Mindfreak just can't even believe his eyes. I mean, you just saw that. He's running into spawn with his knife out. I mean, look at this. I mean, there's just not even enough time to react. He sees it. He's just like, at that moment, he knew he was That's crazy. That's such a ridiculous play by Ye. And then he immediately puts his TP up, and he's ready to take this fight. So just another use of this kit. For our final round, this is something, again, we never got to see Ye do. A large reason behind it is just the comp difference, right? Like, what is best for C9's comp might be very, very different for what's best for Paper Rex's comp. So let's take a look at this play, because it's really goddamn cool. Ye pops the chamber ult. He puts his TP down front B, and he's ready to go for this fight. He just wants to clear out the zone. This is Vanity smoke coming in, and it's allowing Ye to, you know, clear out all of this with just his aim, which is goated, right? Like, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with someone like Ye on a chamber op coming and clearing this out, probably with a piece of Sky util from Zeppa, if I had to guess. And you have Leaf caging out this cross again, so it's putting a lot of pressure on these door guys in the raise, because, you know, there could be someone in the zone, right? There could be someone in this pink box right here. Let's play it. So we have this is so sick. Forsaken goes and opens the door, and he has his TP right next to the door, right here. So his TP is right next to the door, right next to his body. They dog out, which is what they did last half. They dogged through it in reverse. This time, they're dogging on defense to clear out the door. And the dog is going back here. This is how they set Forsaken up in the early round to go for an opening pick. It's just so cool that they thought of this. In addition to that, I mean, they have Jing, who early paint shelled. You can see his paint shells are gone. He has naded this. They've one-wayed the corner. They've done all of this. And this poor little Cypher is just lurking. He has no idea all this is here. Forsaken breaks the cam. A lot of info again from the Cypher. The dog clears all this out. Doesn't get to the trip, though, unfortunately. Forsaken is able to play this half wall with a TP that goes behind the door. That is so clever. Meanwhile, you know, Ye, who was inside of the radius of his TP, has now stepped forward into B to look for an opening kill. And he gets it. Of course he gets it. And this shot is nuts. He senses the jiggle peek coming, so he moves up on the wall to get a little bit larger of a sliver on the jump peak, a better angle. Oh my gosh. Plucks Forsaken out of the sky, and he's just feeling it. This is just why I wanted to go over this so much, guys, because you know I was not in love with Chamber following the nerfs. I didn't think it would be possible, but these players proved me wrong. I'm always down to admit it, right? When I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And on Lotus, I was wrong. There's only a certain limited amount of things that you can do with Chamber, and I don't know if he's going to stay meta or like a cheeky pick. Right now in this tournament, we might keep seeing more Chambers. Like, I don't think this is the end of it. I think we're going to be seeing more in the Omega bracket, and I'm stoked to see it. I think it makes for really exciting gameplay, and I think everyone at home was like really excited to see Chamber, you know, see him come back. I'm pretty stoked that we got to see such different comps on Lotus throughout this entire event so far. We saw Vipers in the other game. Like, this is wild shit. All right, let me know what you guys think. Love you guys. Be sure to sub. Stick around for our next video. All right, peace out, guys.